Space, a grand expanse. Something so big, if you dropped your house keys in it, you'd probably never see them again. Anyway, here's PKA. PKA is a game that shows exactly how good a game can be made with the simplest of concepts. By Chapter 2, you have the full party of 8 and are let loose to solve the problems of a day-to-day life on several other planets. So unlike most of my other reviews, I'm going to start with the cast and then move to the story. And believe me when I say that this game feels a hell of a lot more like an episodic TV show than a traditional RPG story, and I love it for that. This episode also took some time to make because I'm officially working on multiple projects at once. Not only am I working on the RPG Maker reviews, but pre-development concepts have begun for my own RPG that I intend to make on the PS4 to challenge myself to make a game without relying on plugins to solve my problems. I'll explain more when development is underway and I'm hands on the engine, but keep in mind production of these videos may slow a little bit because of it. In a shockingly familiar concept, the party is what I'd consider PKA's strongest aspect because of how much the party's presence links into the other mechanics, intentional or not. Alex, Garn, Conrad, Leon, Clara, Kiara, Krista, and Lynn make up this party of 8. Unless they're secret characters, in which case I'll comment on that in another video. And like Tartarus, I'll run through each of these characters at a decent pace, keeping the momentum going. Alex is the traditional RPG protagonist, chosen one trope. Like Cloudstrife from Final Fantasy, Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles, or the Pokemon Legends Arceus protagonist. I'm sorry, I need to play more AAA RPGs. Alex's character is at its best, in my opinion, when he's bouncing off of other characters. And in my opinion, he's the only character who I would say lacks when he's alone. I will admit there's biases here with some of the other characters, but he may get better later in the story. Garn fills a similar but different role as the dumb best friend trope, one filled similarly by Tartarus as Leo. The difference here is that Garn's intelligence isn't played too much for a joke. Yeah, he's more brain than brawns, but he doesn't try to be a smarter character, and while he works best bouncing off other characters, Garn's personality allows him to have moments when he works alone. He also is a workout freak, and I can respect that as someone who doesn't work out. Conrad feels like the character who coasts the most on the coattails of the other characters. When he does pipe up in conversations, his personality is one of the smarter ones in the group, but I hope he gets more character moments as the game continues, because despite being third on the character list when forming a party, he feels like the most of a backseating character in this cast. Leon feels like the stereotypical I don't work with others character, and he'd do it great if there weren't a better use of the stereotype later in the list. Leon's character dynamics put him great when interacting with Garn, Lynn, and Kiara. Due to him being a marginally smarter character than Garn, the two have a brains and brawn dynamic that leaves the two making fun of each other. The other two, I'll leave it to explain later. Clara is the closest we get to a traditional healer in this game, an elven princess. Her character remains pretty even throughout, and multiple times she's a plot device. Whether it be rescuing or preventing her from being taken by monsters, both cognizant and otherwise, her character plays best dynamically with Alex, but has really solid moments with the other ladies as well. Kiara is one of the two characters who have had their backstories explored, at least as far as I've gotten at the start of Chapter 5, and her backstory is really good considering who she is. From a hostile beginning in the chaos that is Chapter 1's closing moments, to being a reliable part of the party, chastising Alex's foolhardy behaviours and commenting when he changes later on. Alex and Leon have Kiara's best character dynamics, as she can butt heads with the pair in a narratively satisfying fight. Krista is the other character whose past has been explored, and she's easily in my top 3 of this group of 8. As the team egghead, a few jokes are cracked at her expense with some of her quirks and behaviours when theorising, but she's also the fastest to draw logical conclusions in unfamiliar situations. Her mental duels with Leon are highly entertaining, but Krista also has really good dynamics with Conrad, Alex, and Lynn. Lynn is the best part of this cast, easily. Lynn is a member of a women-only planet, so naturally her apprehension towards men is a part of her character. That part of her character becomes a central point of Chapter 4 when the party ends up on her doorstep. But she's also had a lot of fun character dynamics with most of the party. She's just silly and I love her. It also helps that she's got all the magic spells off the cuff. Chapter 2 is your game's introduction to, well, pretty much everything you'll need to know about the game's loop outside of combat. It introduces planets, the colonization quest line, these two chuckleheads, and the purple crystals with my favourite NPC in them. Dev, if you watch this, please tell me where all the purple crystals are. I love tuna so much. Please, please, please. Now that that's out of the way, your first arrival to the first planet has no one understand you until you can find the universal translator from Blue over here. Once you have that, you can begin the quests the Elder of the Village will give you. Don't forget to form a party at this save statue here, and the gameplay loop will reveal itself very quickly. You get main quests from the Elder, side quests from the citizens of the Blue Crystals. I don't know how to do this one, please help, I'm a little stupid. Get bounties from Red and collection quests from Blue. No, I don't care to know their actual names. And no, I don't care to learn them. Remembering the names of the main 8 is hard enough, okay? Stop badgering me! The first planet introduces the episodic format of each chapter, as the stories of each planet do not interconnect with each other. Planet 1's story is the Lizard King wants to eat all the citizens of this planet, and you gotta go kill him. After getting the MacGuffin Rusty Katana from the secret cave, of course. Kill the Lizard King, abduct Red, Blue, and a fairy, and bugger off to Chapter 3. The story in Chapter 3 is really interesting. There's a temple to the south with basically massive glowing "Danger! Keep out! Abandon all hope, ye who enter here!" signs that need to be translated out of gibberish. But here we are, entering the temple. This temple gives anyone who enters the death plague, so it's up to us to head deep into the temple and drink from the magic spring of Plague Be Gone to get rid of the plague and deal with the corrupted treant that caused it. Easy. For the sake of this video having multiple paragraphs, I'll mention the fairy now. You find her in Chapter 2, but I really couldn't be bothered to talk about her then. She's priced expensive as hell, but you can purchase spell books from her, allowing anyone to learn any spell, and this is a fun mechanic that allows everyone to be obnoxious little shits. Her prices do remain consistent though. They won't change throughout the game and allow for you to eventually get every spell for every character, which I like and is very cool. The other thing I'll mention is the bounties. Red just sounds so defeated by us taking the bounties, and Garn works the best here thanks to his personality shining when someone's trying to stop him from doing the incredibly dumb thing. Chapter 4 is where the main story actually kind of picks up again. You go to Lynn's home planet, which is entirely women. It's explained that a man made a power grab, and to appease the elementals, all men were given the boot, and we're exceptions because we're special little snowflakes. You go around to all the 4 elemental women of water, fire, ice, and earth, completing the challenges and trials they've set up for you, before the main bad guy incel shows up and demands the princess Bowser style. 2 cats show up and scare him off, and I didn't really want to progress further because I didn't find a purple crystal, nor could I figure out the blue one. Whoops. I'll take this opportunity now to mention the villains. They're all right. I mean, I don't normally care about a villain in a story. It's just kind of a bad guy to beat. The main characters are always where I will say the game should be at their best. And this game's villains are amazing, yeah. They're all right. From what I've seen of them, they're a very threatening group of villains. Like, they all have very similar goals, they work for very similar ends, and because most of the cast are humanoid mouse people, the humanoid cats are very threatening villains because cats and mice, you know, it's a pretty cut and dry combat. But yeah, no, the villains were fun. They had some really interesting dialogue trees, and the fight you had against that one guy that's just like, surrender your weapons before you're allowed to see the prince, and then you just refuse and kick the shit out of him. I really liked that. That felt really cathartic. So the developer knows how to make villains that feel cathartic to beat up. PKA is a prime example of a game not needing too many fancy mechanics to be good.
The only real complex stuff comes from, like, the puzzles in the temples and the like. Although, fuck the confusing caves, that puzzle was miserable. If I had to make a complaint, not enough tuna. I want them as a secret ninth character, damn it. Give me tuna! In seriousness, the lack of shields and helmets makes the inventory system and equipment feel pretty empty. Funnily enough, this is the opposite problem that Quest of Erendia had. Shout out to you, you're a legend. But that's probably something that'll fix itself in time. I don't know, I only kicked off chapter 5. The other real negative I have is just dashing being disabled in towns. Like, this one's entirely an artistic choice, I just didn't like it. And as a positive, being able to bring all 8 party members at once with 4 in reserve means that after a particularly rough battle that drains your MP reserves, you have a second team to swap off to, which helps alleviate the pain of paying $300 to sleep in one bed. Fucking price gouging is relentless. Even in fiction, I still have to pay stupid amounts to sleep. Alright, we know how this all goes. We know what's about to happen. Story, character, combat, exploration, enjoyability. Let's get into it. The story achieves a lot with its episodic nature. Barely anything of each chapter carries over, apart from the one cat being the one to cause all the shit, and I find the episodic nature really cool. It enables a pick up and put down sort of gameplay style, giving natural points to the game because the story doesn't really have to connect together. It's all very, disconnected, and as I've said many times, it feels like an episode out of a cartoon more than an RPG story. So I'll give story a 4 out of 5. I've sung my praises already about the characters. They're all amazing, especially Lynn, Krista, and Kiara. All 8 of them have their moments, their highs and lows, and shine at their own moments. And it doesn't feel like at any point that any of them are overshining the other. I just wish that Conrad would have more to say, really. But apart from that slight annoyance, I'd give character a 4 out of 5. The combat isn't bad, but it still has a lot of ground to cover before it shines like the others. I've said the spell scrolls are great already, but the ability for everyone to learn the game spells inevitably turns the game into rock, paper, scissors while trying to figure out what spell is the rock to your enemy's scissors. So with that in mind, combat gets a 3 out of 5. Not only is the rock, paper, scissors aspect a really repetitive aspect, some of the enemies just are really hard hitting and it kind of makes them feel a little imbalanced. Exploration is always the rockiest one to get good. Again, the lack of dashing in town slows the game down to a crawl at moments. But planetary transportation is ingenious and amazing, and a lot of the actual cave dungeons that you can go poking around in have really unique, if not frustratingly annoying, puzzles to tackle through. So I'll give exploration a 3 out of 5 and a really solid congratulations for the planetary travel. Which leaves enjoyability. I'll give my rating first and explain it later. 4 out of 5, easy. This game simply has so many good things going for it, but a few minor stumbles drag it down from a perfect score. A way to view elemental weaknesses and enabling dashing in towns, and this game would be a 5. But as it stands, the highest I can really give this game is a 4 out of 5. Which gives PKA a final score of 18 of 25, an incredibly respectable score and puts all of the games within 1 point of each other, showing how good these games are. Another review down and dusted. Whew. We're in the home stretch for Season 1. The next video will be on Forsaken by the Gods, then we'll round out the season with finishing off Creature Hunter G+, and seeing how it compares when finished. From there it'll be a video on RPG Maker with, to hopefully find a few games I want to continue playing there. Then a third quickfire review on MV, then I'll remake the review list and get to cracking on. We've barely put dents in some of these games, so I'm really excited to see how these games will continue on in the future. As always, I'm Micromatcha, and I will see you in the next video.